Architecture. Wireless mesh network is the architecture which provides less mobility with low cost within a radio range. WMIN is an infrastructure which is a network of routers minus cabling between the nodes. It consists of radio nodes which need not to be cabled to a wired port like the conventional wireless access points. Shortest hops are predicted to transmit the data toward large distance. Nodes between the source and destination act as a forwarding node which works cooperatively in making decisions in route prediction based on the topology and forwarding the data. Wireless mesh network provides stability when compared to the rest of the network topologies rather than the node addition or deletion in the network. In infrastructure mesh network, the data forwarding and receiving are via gateway, whereas in the rest of the network, it is through pair of nodes. The frequency of link breakage is higher in the case of wireless mesh networks when there is a high mobility which results in low performance in communication of information. Wireless mesh networks are categorized into three types based on the functionality of the nodes in the network. Infrastructure mesh architecture. Mesh architecture based on clients. Hybrid mesh architecture. Infrastructure mesh architecture. Mesh architecture based on clients. Hybrid mesh architecture. Mesh routers together act as a wireless backbone for infrastructure mesh architecture. Client node is passive in mesh infrastructure via Ethernet links. Conventional clients with Ethernet interfaces can be connected to mesh routers. If the traditional network and the mesh router are operating under the same radio range, then it is easy for the mesh network to communicate with the mesh router. Alternatively, if the radio ranges differ, the nodes will communicate to the base station so that with the help of Ethernet, it can be further communicated to the mesh routers. Shows the mesh architecture for infrastructure-based network. Mesh architecture for infrastructure-based network. Mesh architecture based on client is the one in which the client nodes are connected from peer to peer. Each node can act as a routing node to transfer the data. Here, the client performs the role of mesh routing by acting in the forwarding of the data packets. Shows the architecture of mesh based on clients. In this we can see that the network with no router is connected to it, and rather all clients are interconnected to perform data transfer. Mesh architecture based on clients. In hybrid mesh architecture, usually the mesh nodes/router acts as a backbone of the entire network operation. With the help of network mesh router, it performs routing and forwarding of data packets toward its destination, which is shown in hybrid mesh architecture. Dynamic self-configuration and self-organization. Adaptation. Fault tolerance and robustness. Low cost. Integration and interoperability. Dynamic self-configuration and self-organization. Adaptation. Fault tolerance and robustness. Low cost. Integration and interoperability.